Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are looking at this new and final New York Times Sienna college poll. This is our most recent map that we've predicted, and again it might change tomorrow. We're going to do a final updated one, but let's analyze it with comparing the New York Times Sienna poll. So we predicted a 297 to 241 win for President Trump. We believe that President Trump is going to win all of the states, or all the swing states, except for Michigan, but again this is all very much up in there. It could go the other way. It could be very much in an opposite direction, especially with the Iowa poll that we analyzed earlier today. This could all change at any point in time. So know that even though this is our prediction, we are still very much unaware. And as I think everyone is, this race is a toss-up for a reason. It is going to be extremely close. No one knows who's going to win. If they tell you they know who's going to win, they are lying. This is an extremely close race. So going back to the poll from New York Times Sienna, so they surveyed about like 7,000 people, I think, from across these 7 different states, pretty much 1,000 each, with the exception of Pennsylvania had a bit more, and then Michigan instead had a bit less, but overall pretty much 1,000, rounding out. Contacted them through telephone, and also if you're interested more in their specific methodology, they did do this entire publish everything about all of their findings here if you want to exactly look at it, as well as their methodology. So that is available to you if you're interested in that. So now looking at their actual results for each of these swing states, starting off with Nevada, they say that Harris is going to win the state by 3 points. Also, the margin of error is shown here through the little purple bit, so it could change. It's all subject to change. The margin of error overall, it's going to be about like 3.5% or so. So just keep that in mind, that all of these could basically flip with the exception of Arizona. But back to Nevada. It's saying that Harris is going to win the state by 3%, which doesn't even make it in the tilt category. It's now in the lean category, which I find surprising. So they say Harris is going to win the state by 3 points. Next is North Carolina, saying that Harris is going to win it by 2 points, which I find pretty astounding. North Carolina hasn't been won by a Democrat for many years now, many election cycles. Trump had it both in 2020 and 2016, and so saying that Harris is going to win over that voter base, especially in a state that has a prominent black population. She's had trouble with black men and black people overall, as we know. I'm not so sure how likely that is necessarily, but saying that she's going to win it by 2 points as well, which again does not put it in the tilt category even, but puts in the lean category for us. Also, just as a reminder, the way we do it is that safe and solid is 15 plus, likely is 5 to 15, lean is 1 to 5, and tilt is less than 1. Next is Wisconsin, saying that Harris is going to win the state by 2 points yet again. So again, still in the lean category for them. This puts them over the edge already, right? They don't need any other states with this. They already won the Electoral College. I mean, of course, if they keep Michigan or switch something else out, but so far we have Kamala Harris as the victor. Next is Georgia, saying that Harris is going to win the state by 1. Again, I find it very surprising. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think most of the, or was it 1? I think, yes, 1. So again, it tilts category. I don't think that's likely at all. I think that Georgia and Arizona are the 2 states that are the most sure to go to President Trump in this scenario. So I don't think that Harris is going to be able to pull Georgia over the ledge. The Sun Belt overall has tilted more towards Trump, and I think that also shows in the places that Harris is campaigning. She's been mostly campaigning in the Rust Belt because she knows she needs to win Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin to carry her over the line for 270. She hasn't made as many appearances in Georgia or Arizona or Nevada even as she has in the Rust Belt. So I think it's clear through the ways and locations that she's prioritizing where she thinks her strengths and weaknesses are and where she thinks she's more probable to win. With all that being said, I could be wrong. She could win Georgia. I just don't see it as likely as maybe some of the other states. So in Pennsylvania, they are in a dead heat between the two. They do show Harris slightly ahead, but this is honestly pretty negligible, so let's just mark it as a toss-up for now, and then we'll come back to it. Next is Michigan, also a straight-up toss-up. They do, again, put Trump slightly ahead, but still extremely just down to the barrel there. And then lastly, Arizona. We know this is the most surefire state for President Trump. He seems to be up over 4. And then again, that puts it just as we had it, as a lean state. So now looking at this map, it doesn't really matter where Michigan and Wisconsin go, or sorry, Michigan and Pennsylvania go, because Harris is already over the 270 line. She's already won this presidential election. Even if Trump were to win both Michigan and Pennsylvania, he's still going to lose. So as we see here, the most probable line of success for her, even though the New York Times shows it differently, is I think winning these 3 states. I don't see a scenario where she were to win Michigan but not Wisconsin. I think that those two kind of come as pairs, so I think she would win all 3 of these, and then she would have more difficulty with the Sun Belt, like we said previously. And if she's not able to carry these 3, then again, like the New York Times shows, then she would have to win some other states in the Sun Belt region to make up for them, especially considering like winning a state like Georgia or North Carolina would help her immensely, versus North Carolina, not that, or Nevada, not that much, because they only have 6 electoral votes. So if she were to not win Nevada per se, and she were to go to Trump, but then she only wins these 2 states as well, she still loses. Say Pennsylvania is really the key here because it has the most electoral votes out of any of these swing states. If she were to win that, but not Georgia, she would still win by just 1 electoral vote here. So it really depends. This is all going to come down extremely to the wire, and honestly, the New York Times' projections I don't think are going to be as accurate. So putting this back to the way it was, this is their official projection with just putting Michigan and Pennsylvania in the way that had it kind of ahead one way or another, but still very, very down to the needle. And already about 70 million Americans have voted, and about 40% of the respondents in this poll had already voted as well, with Harris having an 8-point advantage with those who had already voted, but a lot of Trump supporters also saying that they're planning to vote on election day. We have the New York Times projecting that Kamala will win 293 to Trump's 243. It's pretty obvious that I disagree with this, but let's look at other poll analysts. Now, if we go based off the RCP average as to what the election would look like, this is what the map would end up looking like. Much more different than the New York Times. And they give Trump the lead, 287 to Harris's 251. There's so many different circumstances that can come into play here, and it matters who's showing up to vote on election day, who decides to vote third party versus not, if any people accidentally vote for Kennedy instead. Those very small differences are going to be the difference between the next 4 years under Trump or under Harris. And then lastly, comparing the New York Times Sienna poll to Nate Silver's Silver Bulletin projections. So at the national level, he thinks that Harris is leading slightly, but when we look at the state-by-state polls, it seems like he thinks that Trump is going to pull ahead in many of them. So if we just look at Pennsylvania for a change, he thinks that Trump's going to win the state. If we look at Michigan, Harris is going to win Wisconsin. Harris is going to win all these extremely slightly, just within like 1% or less. And so we know that if she isn't able to carry the big 3, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, then she has to make up for it with North Carolina. And we look here and we see that he predicts that Trump is going to win North Carolina as well. And this is what the electoral map would look like with 530, with Nate Silver's projection, which is similar to the RCP average, both of them showing a 287 to 251 prediction. All of this to say, as I've been saying throughout this entire video ad nauseum, is that this election is going to be very close, whether it turns out being like the New York Times Sienna poll or the RCP average or Nate Silver's or the Seltzer poll or any other polls that you've seen come out. It's going to be extremely close. And even if the Electoral College is like 20-30 points out of balance, we know that the states that are going to be won are going to be won by extremely close margins, especially Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada. Those states are the closest states, in my opinion, that we're going to be having recounts in probably. Let me know what your thoughts are on this new and final New York Times Sienna College poll. Thanks for watching.